This story is inspired by a true incident that took place on Spain's La Palma island. It begins like a dream vacation and slowly turns into a nightmare that threatens not just one family but all of humanity. A young girl is enjoying her holiday by the sea when she suddenly realizes one of her earrings is missing. At first, she assumes it must have slipped off while taking pictures near the water. Her best friend, without thinking twice, dives straight into the ocean to find it. But within seconds, something feels wrong. A strange sound echoes from beneath the surface. The calm blue water begins to bubble, then boil. Moments later, the glass boat they were on shatters, and the ocean claims every life aboard. What looked like a peaceful sea had turned into something terrifying. Days later, a family of 4 arrives at the same island, La Palma, often called Volcano Island. The volcano hasn't erupted since 1948, and tourists still treat it as paradise. Nick and his wife Jim have come here hoping to save their struggling marriage. They see this trip as their last chance to fix what's broken between them. As the family prepares to go swimming, their teenage daughter Sarah finds a pair of earrings on the ground. Her father confirms they don't belong to anyone in their room. She casually leaves them on the table, unaware that these small objects are connected to something far darker. Meanwhile, in the mountains, geologist Mary and her colleague are conducting routine research inside a cave. But today, something is different. Strange cement-like deposits cover the cave walls. Dead bats lie scattered across the ground. Tests reveal dangerously high levels of carbon dioxide. Then they notice something even worse, a massive crack stretching across the cave ceiling. This isn't normal geological movement. This is a warning. At the Geological Department office, the director reads a troubling news report. A speedboat has been found offshore, every tourist on board dead. Initial investigations are unclear. When Mary presents her findings, the gas levels, the crack, the unusual mineral deposits, the director hesitates. Years ago, he issued a false alarm about a landslide that caused public panic and nearly cost him his career. He doesn't want to repeat that mistake. Without absolute proof, he refuses to declare an emergency. But privately, he's terrified. Autopsy reports from the speedboat victims show their lungs were burned by extremely hot gases, carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide. This is volcanic activity. And it's escalating. Back at the resort, Nick's family remains unaware. Sarah struggles socially, caring for her younger brother who has autism. She longs to fit in, but lacks confidence. When she finally gathers the courage to make a friend, a misunderstanding destroys it. A private video gets shared, and Sarah becomes the target of blame. Hurt and overwhelmed, especially after hearing her parents arguing again, she decides to leave the island alone. She heads to the airport, calling her uncle in Norway to book a ticket home. At the same time, seismic activity intensifies. Micro-tremors ripple beneath the island. Gas levels rise. Mary confirms the crack in the mountain is fresh, no more than 2 weeks old. If the volcano erupts, a massive section of the mountain could collapse into the ocean. If that happens, it would trigger a tsunami capable of devastating coastlines across continents. Finally, a violent explosion shakes the island. Ash fills the sky. Air traffic control orders flights cancelled, but Sarah's plane is already accelerating down the runway. With no room to stop, it takes off. Moments later, the volcano erupts. Jean learns her daughter was on that flight. Chaos spreads. Then news arrives, the plane has crashed. The parents rush to the hospital where survivors are being brought. Sarah's name is on the passenger list, but there's no confirmation mark beside it. They return to their hotel broken, believing their daughter is gone, only to open the door and find Sarah sitting safely inside. She had stepped off the plane at the last second after receiving a heartfelt apology message from her friend. That single message saved her life. But the nightmare isn't over. Scientists beg the mayor to order an evacuation. He refuses, fearful of economic collapse and political fallout. So the director makes a decision. He orders his staff to leave the island while he stays behind. Nick's brother-in-law secretly warns them. The government knows more than it's saying. A ferry to Tenerife is leaving in 20 minutes. It may be their only chance. The family rushes to escape. In desperation, Nick hijacks a work truck to get them to the port. He puts his wife and children on the ferry, but stays behind when the workers catch up to him. He sacrifices his chance so they can survive. The volcano erupts fully. Lava pours down the mountain. A massive section of land collapses into the sea. And then it happens. The ocean rises. A wall of water hundreds of feet high forms in seconds, a tsunami born from fire and stone. Panic consumes everything. Nick tries to escape by boat with Mary and her brother. In the chaos, criminals attempt to steal their vessel. Mary's brother is shot and dies in her arms. Grief-stricken but determined, Mary and Nick finally escape by speedboat just as the island splits apart behind them. On Tenerife, Jim and the children reach the airport. Boarding begins for what may be the last flight out. Sarah, seeing her friend Sherry without a boarding pass, makes a selfless decision. She gives Sherry her father's pass and brings her along. But as the plane prepares for takeoff, the tsunami strikes. The runway cracks. The aircraft struggles into the air as destruction swallows the coast. Nick and Mary race toward a designated safe zone, identified by experts. Miraculously, when the tsunami waves collide near Tenerife's eastern shore, they neutralize each other, creating a narrow ring of safety. Hundreds survive because of a last-minute broadcast revealing its location. Nick reaches the shore, but his family is nowhere in sight. He hears the last flight has crashed. He collapses, believing he has lost everything. Then a voice. A rescue helicopter lands nearby. Against all odds, Sarah survived the crash and even saved her friend using CPR. Jim and her son made it to higher ground seconds before the waves hit. In a world torn apart by fire and water, the family finds each other again. But not everyone gets a second chance. Mary stands quietly apart from the reunion. She saved lives but lost her brother. She knows her world will never be the same. The eruption of La Palma becomes one of the most devastating natural disasters in history. Entire coastlines change. Small island nations disappear beneath the sea. Millions are displaced. And yet in the middle of unimaginable destruction, humanity still shows courage, sacrifice, and love. Because sometimes, even when the earth splits open and the oceans rise, hope finds a way to survive.